Hey everyone. So in this video, I want to talk about how to solve proportions. So I want to start by just talking about the process that we use to solve a proportion. And then I want to go through a couple examples just to show you how to do this. So the first thing, remember that a proportion is an equation that says two ratios are equal to each other. So for example, A over B is equal to C over D. That would be a proportion. One fraction is equal to another fraction. Now, if one of these four variables is unknown, we can solve for that in this proportion. So I just want to talk about the process we use to do that. So the way that we solve a proportion is something called the cross products. But first, I want to show you where that comes from. So let's say that we wanted to rearrange this equation a little bit, and maybe the first thing we want to do is get rid of these fractions. So on the left-hand side, if I multiply both sides of this equation by the variable b, on the left-hand side, we have a b in the numerator and a b in the denominator that will simplify. That will just become 1. So I'm left with a is equal to, and now this b is going to get multiplied by c in the numerator, so you have b times c over d. Now I only have one more fraction, so now maybe we'll do the same thing on the right-hand side. So we'll multiply both sides by the variable d. We have a d in the numerator and a d in the denominator, which will simplify to 1. So then I'm left with a times d is equal to b times c. This is what we call the cross products. So taking a look at these two products, these two pieces of multiplication, the first one we have a times d, and that is one of our diagonals. And then our second one is b times c, which is our second diagonal. So that leads to our cross product. So if we have a proportion, a over b is equal to c over d, then our cross product, we have a times d is equal to b times c. And this gives us a nice quick way where we can multiply this out, turn this into a regular equation, and then we can solve for our unknown. So let's do that in two examples. So the first one, x over 6 is equal to 7 over 21. So we need to solve for x. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use our cross products. So our cross products, we're multiplying the diagonals here. So x times 21, I'm going to write that as 21x. And then on the other side, that's going to be equal to 6 times 7. So that's 21x is equal to 42. And to finish up, dividing both sides by 21, we end up with x is equal to 2. And here's our solution. I can double check this. If I plug in 2 for x, 2 over 6, that simplifies to 1/3. And 7 over 21 also simplifies to 1/3. So I know that that value of 2 does make this equation true. Now that unknown, that variable, it can be any of the four positions. So here in my second example, I have it in a different position. 12 over y is equal to 8 over 50. But we just follow the same process. So multiplying our cross products, we have 8 times y. And then our other cross product, we have 12 times 50. All right, so 8 times y, and on the other side, 12 times 50 is equal to 600. And then to finish up, dividing both sides by 8, we end up with y is equal to 75. And again, we could double check that in the same way we did on the first one. But here's our solution. So the cross products gives us a nice quick way to multiply this equation, turn it into something that's easier to solve. But it is important to note that the cross product, it only works when we are dealing with a proportion. So our equation has to be one fraction is equal to exactly one other fraction. If I have other things that are being added or subtracted, we can't use the cross products. But when dealing with proportions, this is a great way to solve these types of equations.